Hi, I'm Tami. I'm the director of the Center for Advising, Career, and Student Success. So I grew up in Kansas in the Midwest, a little town right on the Oklahoma-Kansas line, and loved being outdoors, playing with the animals, all the things that being a country kid allows you to do. My motivation for attending college came mostly from my parents. Even though they had never gone to college, they always took me to a lot of college events. Went to lots of sporting events and football games, particularly at Kansas State University, where I ended up going. It just never occurred to me that that wasn't my next step in life after high school. I did have some struggles in college. I think every single college student has some struggles. Mine were around the challenges of being a first-generation student. I didn't have someone who was directing my pathway in college and saying, be sure and meet this person or attend this kind of activity because if you don't go to the Career Center, you won't get a job. My folks didn't know about any of those things, so I learned about them through my peers and through faculty. The plus side of that is that I forged those relationships because I had to rely on other folks to know what was the most efficient way for me to accomplish what I needed to get done. Being a country kid, was very involved in Future Farmers of America. A lot of our competitions were at Kansas State University, and that's part of the reason why I chose that college, is because I was comfortable there. I thought growing up or in high school that I wanted to be an ag teacher, and so I started out in the College of Agriculture, and I realized about my junior year that probably when I was 40, I wasn't going to be wanting to teach high school kids how to change tractor tires, but I was already that far along my career. So I finished out in the College of Agriculture and actually got my bachelor's degree in animal science. It wasn't until after that that I got into higher education, and that's where I finished out and have continued in that field since. So I went into the workforce first before I went to grad school, which was a really important move for me. At Kansas State, I was an animal science major with a journalism emphasis, which meant basically an ag journalism degree. So after I left Kansas State University, I began working for the local newspaper. I was the first and only women's sports editor at that newspaper. After that, I returned to the agriculture field, worked for the USDA for a while, and that's when I realized it was time for me to find my passions in a different way, and that's when I went back to graduate school. After I got my master's degree in education, I worked at a small private university in Winfield, Kansas called Southwestern College. I worked there for 16 years. My first job in higher ed was at Texas Christian University, where I lived in as a hall director for 6 years. Took a little stint out to work in the alcohol and drug prevention field, and I did that for about 6 years and then came back to higher ed. I believe getting a degree is a team sport. Nobody gets a degree in a vacuum by themselves. Students are well served when they make partnerships on campus with faculty members, with peers, with staff members who care about them. The more support you can get for your journey, the more successful you're going to be. I think one of the mistakes we make is that we tell young students, grade school, high school age, that they're smart enough to go to college. That's only a very, in my opinion, small piece of the puzzle. What it's really about is effort and your willingness to work hard enough to get a degree. And I believe everyone's capable of that.